The final stretch of the transfer window is rarely without drama, and over at Ibrox things are starting to heat up. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation. Whispers are turning into conversations, and speculation is quickly morphing into something more tangible. With interest growing from clubs across the continent, Rangers are on the brink of a crucial few weeks that could redefine the course of their season. All eyes are on the movement behind the scenes, and there's already been a notable piece of business confirmed. Jayden Magoma is now officially a Rangers player on loan from Brentford until the end of the season, and it's a move that makes sense on so many levels. The 19-year-old left-back has joined up with a manager he knows well, and that familiarity might prove vital in helping him settle quickly. Russell Martin, who previously worked with Magoma during their time at Southampton, was a huge influence in the decision. The youngster has made no secret of the admiration he has for Martin's style of play and coaching philosophy. Speaking to the club's in-house media, Magoma couldn't hide his excitement. He talked about the size and stature of Rangers, how the club's rich history had pulled him in, and how knowing the manager was a key piece of the puzzle. When Martin was in charge at Southampton, it was him who handed Magoma his senior debut, a moment the player hasn't forgotten. That connection has now been rekindled, this time in Glasgow, with the hope that their shared footballing vision can help propel Rangers through a challenging part of the campaign. And the timing of this move couldn't be more critical. With Ridvan Yilmaz heavily linked with a return to Turkey and Robbie Fraser already out the door to Dunfermline, the left-hand side of the back line was crying out for reinforcements. The club is clearly planning for potential departures, and Magoma arrives with the physicality and technical ability to slot in seamlessly. But the real story isn't just about who's arriving, it's about who might be on the verge of leaving. As the deadline looms, Rangers are preparing themselves for bids that could test their resolve. Big names like Nicholas Raskin and Hamza Igamani have attracted interest from across Europe, and while the club wants to keep hold of their key men, they're also realistic. Everyone knows how this works. When a significant offer comes in, especially one that could reshape the budget and open the door to reinforcements, it has to be considered. Hamza Igamane's name, in particular, is ringing out across boardrooms on the continent. From League One to Serie A, there's serious admiration for the Moroccan forward. Everton have been monitoring his situation. Feyenoord have had scouts take a closer look. Rennes, Udinese, Lille, they're all aware of the player's potential. But none have taken that final step with a formal offer. Not yet. That could change in a heartbeat, and the sense inside Ibrox is that it probably will. And what about Raskin? The Belgian midfielder has also been a topic of interest south of the border. Premier League clubs have their eye on him, and although Rangers are keen to keep him at the heart of their midfield, the ongoing speculation has raised questions about his focus. Is he fully locked in? Can he block out the noise? Russell Martin insists Raskin remains central to his plans, but in football, things can shift quickly. If an offer lands that matches the club's valuation, a replacement will be brought in without delay. The midfield balance must be preserved. There's a sense of quiet readiness about it all. Rangers are not panicking. They're not desperate to sell, but they are prepared. And if someone goes, the plan is clear, reinvest the money directly into the squad. This isn't about fire sales or offloading players for the sake of it. It's about maximizing value and using that to build a team capable of delivering success across multiple fronts. Russell Martin, to his credit, has been calm in the face of mounting pressure. He understands what's at stake, not just in terms of personnel, but also in terms of the bigger picture. These final weeks of the window are crucial, not only for what they mean in the short term, but for the tone they set for the season ahead. A well-timed sale, if managed correctly, could allow him to strengthen key areas, particularly through the spine of the team, and give this group a stronger foundation for the challenges to come. There's also the ongoing saga of Ridvan Yilmaz. The Turkish left-back has been on Besiktas' radar for a while now, and negotiations are starting to intensify. It's no secret that he's open to returning home. Galatasaray are lurking too, having kept a close eye on his situation since January. The timing might finally be right for a move, and with Magoma now in the building, the pieces may already be shifting into place. So while much of the focus is on who might be leaving, it's equally important to look at who's arriving and how they fit into this evolving picture. Take Mikey Moore, for instance. Just 18 years and a week old, but already showing signs of serious character and ambition. Loaned in from Spurs, Moore is not here just to make up the numbers, he's here to make an impression. And judging by his debut performance against Alloa Athletic, a match Rangers won by 4-2, he's already beginning to turn heads. The energy, the intent, the willingness to run at defenders, it's all there. Yes, he drifted as the game went on, but those early glimpses suggest a player who could become a real weapon. What stands out about Moore isn't just his technical ability, but his mindset. He's not here to hide. He's not just here to learn and grow, he's here to compete. In his own words, he wants to become one of the best players in the world. That level of ambition might sound bold, but it's exactly what this Rangers side has been missing. Too many players in recent seasons have crumbled under the weight of expectation at Ibrox. Moore, by contrast, looks like someone who thrives under pressure. His journey to Glasgow had its own twists. Red tape delayed his debut, but in hindsight, that extra time helped him settle into his new environment. He's now fully focused on Rangers. The Spurs contract has been sorted, but his eyes are firmly on the present, on the pitch, in the shirt, making a difference. He's buzzing to be here, ready for the big games, hungry for goals, determined to excite, and there's another layer to his decision to join. Last year, when Tottenham visited Ibrox for a Europa League clash, Moore was sidelined with injury. He couldn't make the trip, but he watched from afar. And what he saw left a lasting impression. The noise, the energy, the raw passion of the home crowd, it made its mark. His teammates returned to London raving about the atmosphere. Some even called it the best they'd ever played in. That stuck with Moore. So when the opportunity arose to make the switch, there was no hesitation. Of course, it helps when you've got a mentor like Jermaine Defoe in your corner. The former Rangers striker who now coaches at Spurs played a big role in convincing Moore that this was the right move. According to Moore, Defoe had nothing but praise for the club, the fans, the experience. He told him, if the chance comes up, take it. No questions asked. And for a young forward looking to make his mark, there could hardly be a better endorsement. Moore remembers watching Defoe score goals in a Rangers shirt. He remembers the buzz around him, the way the fans embraced him. That connection, that sense of legacy, it all adds to the motivation. Moore knows he's stepping into a club with weight, with tradition, with expectation. But rather than shrink under it, he seems eager to rise to it. And that's the underlying theme here. Whether it's Magoma reconnecting with a coach who shaped his early steps, or Moore chasing his dream with unshakable belief, or the club preparing for high-stakes decisions in the market, it's all part of a wider plan. Rangers are not standing still. They're moving with purpose, navigating the chaos of the transfer window with a blend of caution and ambition. The next few weeks will be defining. Offers may come in, players may leave, new faces may arrive. But whatever happens, the focus is clear. Build a squad that's not only talented, but hungry. A squad that can withstand pressure, that can embrace expectation, that can go toe-to-toe with anyone in the league and beyond. What's unfolding right now at Rangers is more than just a shuffle of names and shirt numbers. It's a test of identity, a moment that could either signal a bold step forward or a missed opportunity to truly reset. And that's why the tension is real. That's why the stakes feel higher than ever. Because Rangers aren't just looking to fine-tune the edges. They're trying to reassert themselves. To reclaim their place not just in the standings, but in the mindset of Scottish football. Every decision being made in this transfer window carries weight, and that weight is felt in every corridor of Ibrox. Behind closed doors, Russell Martin is said to be methodical, a manager who believes in structure, in patterns of play, in putting the right people in the right places. And that's exactly what this squad needs, a clear tactical vision supported by the right personnel. He's not just after players who can kick a ball. He's after ones who can take instruction, adapt to a system, and play with courage when the pressure hits hardest. That's why someone like Jayden Magoma makes sense. He already knows what Martin demands, and Martin already knows what buttons to press to get the best out of him. But all of that planning, all of that coaching will be tested by what happens in these final days of the window. Because when big clubs come knocking and serious money is put on the table, Rangers have to walk that fine line between ambition and realism. Let's be honest, this is still a club that needs to sell smart to build. That's the model, and that means difficult decisions are sometimes unavoidable. What matters is how those decisions are made, whether the replacements are lined up, whether the squad emerges stronger, not weaker. Look at the noise around Raskin again. No club in the Scottish Premiership wants to lose a player like him. He brings a balance to the midfield that's hard to replace. He breaks lines, presses with intensity, and when he's on it, he makes the whole team tick. But with Premier League eyes watching closely and scouts already making their assessments, the question is whether his head can be turned. And if it is, whether Rangers have a proper plan in place to bring in someone who doesn't just fill a shirt, but fills the role. It's the same with Hamza Egamani. He's a striker that brings a bit of unpredictability to the front line. He's still raw, still finding his feet in the European game, but there's a spark there, a sense that given the right platform, he could explode. And that's exactly what other clubs are seeing. His rise has been steady, not flashy, but real. And now clubs like Lille and Udinese are circling, knowing full well that this is the kind of talent that doesn't stay put forever. Rangers can't hold him back if the right offer comes in. But what they can do is make sure that if he goes, someone arrives who fits the system, fits the mentality, and hits the ground running. This is where recruitment becomes make or break. Because for all the talk about potential departures, the incoming players are what the fans will judge most. It's one thing to cash in on an asset, it's another to replace them with someone who actually improves the side. That's what separates good recruitment from great recruitment. And let's be honest, Rangers haven't always got that balance right in recent windows. There's been talent, no doubt, but consistency, chemistry, that's been harder to come by, which is why someone like Mikey Moore feels like a breath of fresh air. Here's a player who hasn't come up to hide behind experience. He's come to light the place up, and while it's early days, there's already something about him that feels different. He's not waiting to be told he belongs, he's acting like he already does. That swagger, that belief, is what this squad has lacked at times. Too often in recent seasons, Rangers have had players who start strong but fade when the heat turns up. Moore's challenge will be to maintain that energy across a full campaign, to go from flashes of brilliance to sustained impact. But the mindset is there, the ambition is there, and that counts for something. Moore's pathway through the Spurs Academy is well documented. He's been talked about for years down south as a prospect with real upside. And now he's chosen to test himself in one of the most intense footballing environments in Britain. That tells you everything about his mentality. He didn't choose the easy option. He chose the one that comes with scrutiny. And in doing so, he's already won some respect. And he's not doing it alone. He's got backing, not just from his coaches, but from those who've walked this path before him. Jermaine Defoe's voice carries weight, not just because of what he did at Rangers, but because of the way he did it. With class, with consistency, with goals. And now he's passing that torch to the next generation. Moore's decision to lean on Defoe's advice shows maturity. He's listening to the right people, and now it's about showing he's ready to follow that guidance with performances. What matters now is how the pieces fit together. Because for all the individual talent that's come in or might yet leave, this game is still about the collective, about building a team that plays with identity and purpose. Russell Martin knows that better than anyone. And while the fans will always get excited by big names and flashy arrivals, what they'll really back is a side that fights, that plays with urgency, that understands the responsibility of wearing the badge. That's what this window has to deliver. Not just a reshuffling of cards, but a statement. A clear signal that Rangers are serious about pushing forward, that they're not content to drift through another season in the shadows, that every move being made is part of a bigger strategy to close the gap, raise the standards, and get this club back where it belongs, competing for titles, playing with pride, and putting fear into opponents again. There's also the question of leadership, and right now the dressing room needs strong voices. Not just the experienced heads, but the ones who lead by example. Players who train like they play, who lift standards when heads drop. That's something Russell Martin has spoken about behind the scenes. A desire to build a culture that doesn't tolerate passengers. A culture where every player knows what's expected and fights to meet that standard. That's why this transfer window isn't just about personnel. It's about personalities, character, attitude. You can have all the technical skill in the world, but if you can't handle the pressure of Ibrox, it won't last. The fans know that. They've seen it before, players who shine in friendlies, but vanish when the real games come. That won't cut it anymore. The margin for error has closed. Every signing has to be calculated, not just for talent, but for temperament. And let's not forget what's coming. The fixtures ahead are brutal. High-pressure games, both domestically and in Europe. There won't be time for new arrivals to ease in. They'll need to hit the ground running. That's why having players who already understand the demands, like Magoma with Martin or Moore with Defoe in his corner, is so important. These aren't random deals. They're targeted moves. And if they pay off, they could be the difference between another year of frustration and a real shot at silverware. But there's still work to do. The squad as it stands isn't complete. Gaps remain. Depth is an issue, particularly when injuries inevitably hit. And that's why the final days of this window could be frantic. Don't be surprised if there's late movement, both in and out. Deals that have been simmering could boil over. Negotiations that seem stalled could suddenly reignite. That's the nature of the beast. And Rangers have to be ready to react. They need to be agile, strategic, and above all, bold. Because the opportunity is there, not just to strengthen, but to reshape, to build a team that reflects the values of the club and the ambition of the support. That's what this window is really about. And that's what will define Russell Martin's early tenure more than any press conference or post-match interview ever could. Everything is on the line now. Every decision counts. And if Rangers get this right, if they navigate these final days with clarity and conviction, they might just emerge on the other side with a squad that's not only stronger, but built to compete, built to win, built to bring pride back to Ibrox. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. The whispers drifting out of Ibrox have taken on a sharper edge this week, as the name on everyone's lips is none other than Clinton NIALA, the young forward once hailed as a beacon for the future of Rangers. Reports filtering from those close to the dressing room suggest that NIALA has grown increasingly frustrated with what he sees as a lack of respect and acknowledgement from Russell Martin, the man charged with steering the Glasgow Giants through their current campaign. The murmurs are that Martin, who has been stubborn in his tactical approach and selections, has not only sidelined NIALA from the first team spotlight, but has also, on more than one occasion, ignored direct appeals from the player for clarity on his role within the squad. To be ignored by a manager in private is one thing, but to feel invisible in front of teammates is another entirely. And those around the club say the silence is deafening. This tension, unspoken but tangible, has now spilled into quiet conversations among teammates who are beginning to wonder if a rift of this magnitude can be contained behind closed doors, or if it will inevitably find its way into the public eye with consequences neither party truly desires. If the sources are to be trusted, the mood inside the Rangers changing room has been described as brittle, a fragile atmosphere where small sparks risk setting the whole place aflame. Clinton NIALA, by all accounts, has continued to train with commitment, yet the gulf between him and Russell Martin seems only to widen with each passing week. Teammates have supposedly noticed that even when NIALA performs well in training drills, or in reserve outings, the praise is muted, the acknowledgement half-hearted, almost as if the coaching staff are determined to play down his contributions. This kind of managerial cold shoulder can be devastating for a young player's confidence, and those who recall NIALA's exuberance from his early appearances note the difference now. Shoulders slumped, voice quieter, expression hardened. Who had a suggestion whispered around the corridors of Ibrox is that Martin does not see NIALA as fitting the profile of his preferred style, a player caught between philosophies, destined to be overlooked regardless of merit. Yet to dismiss talent outright in a squad hungry for inspiration feels risky at best, reckless at worst. And fans, never blind to injustice, will not stay quiet should this discontent boil over. The speculation around NIALA's immediate future has therefore reached fever pitch, with talk of an abrupt departure growing louder. Some insiders claim that his representatives have already begun exploring options away from Glasgow. sounding out potential suitors in both England and mainland Europe, while others suggest the rupture with Russell Martin has become so personal that even a temporary patch-up seems unthinkable. The phrase being used is unsustainable climate, a phrase that rings ominous for a club already under intense pressure to deliver results domestically and in Europe. In such an environment, losing a promising player for reasons of man management rather than form or fitness can spark deeper questions about leadership and direction. For NIALA himself, the allure of a fresh start, somewhere his talents will be recognized rather than dismissed, must surely grow more appealing by the day. The message emanating from his camp, though never directly on record, is said to be one of readiness. He is prepared to leave now, not in 6 months or a year, but immediately if the opportunity arises, regardless of the emotional ties he may hold with supporters or the badge he wears. Among the fans, the reaction is predictably conflicted. On one hand, there is frustration with Russell Martin, whose man management skills are being quietly scrutinized, and whose treatment of NIALA is painted by some as emblematic of a broader rigidity that may yet prove costly. On the other hand, there is an undercurrent of resignation, a sense that modern football moves quickly and that player-club relationships can fracture beyond repair almost overnight. The supporters who remember NIALA's early flashes of brilliance will feel a pang at the thought of him leaving without ever truly being given the chance to flourish, while others may argue that no individual, however talented, is bigger than the club. Yet in the terraces and on online forums, the question is not whether NIALA will leave, but when and how. Every absent appearance from the team sheet fuels speculation. Every frosty interaction caught on camera adds fuel to the rumor, and the silence from both player and manager only deepens the mystery. This uncertainty has, ironically, made NIALA's name more present than ever. A player ignored on the pitch, yet unavoidable in the conversation off it. What remains to be seen is how the club hierarchy will handle this delicate situation, for it carries ramifications that extend beyond a single player. If NIALA does walk away, especially under the cloud of being ignored by his manager, the message it sends to other members of the squad is unmistakable. Loyalty and effort are no guarantees of recognition. That can corrode morale faster than any defeat on the pitch. On the flip side, if Martin digs in his heels and forces NIALA to remain in exile within the squad, the resentment could linger and spread, creating factions that no dressing room can afford. The idea that this story might simply fade away grows less plausible with every whisper, and already journalists across Scotland are said to be circling, waiting for a slip of the tongue or a leaked comment to bring the matter fully into public light. In the end, whether Clinton NIALA departs Rangers in silence or with a public clash, his treatment has already ignited conversations about Russell Martin's stewardship and about the balance between authority and empathy in modern football. And for Rangers, a club steeped in history but forever under the microscope, that may prove to be the most damaging aspect of all. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.